Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel where we do talk all things true crime. If you're new to the channel, my name is Tanya, and I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day to watch my video. It really does help me out. If you're a returning Titan, welcome on back. I do appreciate you guys coming for every video and every live. You guys rock. So, we're going to go ahead and get right into what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So, this is crazy. This is just crazy. YouTubers and live streaming has gotten so far out of control on where you should be able to live stream and where you shouldn't. We've seen creators live streaming falling asleep in their car recently. We have seen so much stuff with the Sebastian Rogers case and YouTubers and all of that. But now we have a woman who goes by the username Vegan Patriot was live on YouTube while driving in Los Angeles when a thump was heard and the YouTuber stopped to find out what she hit. She had hit someone. In a separate live stream, Vegan Patriot explained why she believes she wasn't facing any charges. She believes that she is not facing any charges right now for hitting a pedestrian while live, and she continued with her live. What? Like, if I was driving down the road and I hit somebody, the first thing I would do is to be turning off my phone, getting off the live. Gotta go. Bye. But apparently she didn't. And they are saying that she may actually get away with this. I need your guys' thoughts. So I do have a video here from Law and Crime. I hope you guys stick through it and watch it. It's simply just amazing that this woman thinks that she should not be punished in any shape, way, shape, or form. And if you guys don't mind, if you do appreciate the case coverage, please go ahead and smash that like button because it does help your girl out.
Oh my God, are you okay? I didn't see her.
Is this a case of distracted driving? A woman live streaming on YouTube apparently runs over a pedestrian and keeps streaming. We're taking a closer look at the collision and an apparent lack of consequences with Beverly Hills attorney Mitra Hurrian and California Police Sergeant Kyle Schoberg. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Okay, so we don't have a ton of information about this, but I will tell you what we do have is very interesting. A woman known online as Vegan Patriot, or V.
And sorry to interrupt the video. I never do this, but I do want you guys to know that they were in the car. They were saying that they were doing very, very, very hard rugs, if you get what I'm saying. So they were also not only doing really, really hardcore stuff, and they'll say it in the video, but they were smoking weed on top of it.
P is taking a lot of heat after she appears to run over a pedestrian while she's out driving in Los Angeles, California. Now, so far, again, we haven't been able to even confirm VP's actual identity. But what we do have are some accounts of her live streams. And in her live streams, VP often smokes cannabis. She's allegedly doing just that before this collision. She's since removed the live stream containing the actual incident, but as you know, once something is online, it is there forever. So let's take a look.
He does hear those voices. They're not fake, but I wonder some. Oh my God, are you okay? No. I didn't see her. Why are you not looking? I was looking. I didn't see you. What the I'm telling you, I did not see you. Okay. What the Just tell me how I can help. Well, I don't know. Okay. Okay. Oh my God, you guys. I don't know what just happened, but it wasn't good.
So VP pulls over to the side of the road. She ends the live stream. But later that day, she's back with some updates.
All I'm going to say is I've been blessed, and I'm very grateful for choosing to not be a piece of today. Guys, I don't have a charge. I don't have a ticket. You know why? Because I literally wasn't a piece of and that's all I got to say. It was really scary. And the sun was in my eyes, and you can go look at the stream. I was not even looking at chat. So, yep. Actually, the cop literally told me, he was like, literally comes up and claps me on the shoulder and he goes, just so you know, I know how hard that was. He's like, do you know how many hit and runs we have out here?
So VP, she goes on to answer questions from people in that chat that you see on the side there. She says that the girl is fine, presumably the person that she allegedly hit. Doesn't really elaborate on that. She says multiple times that the sun was in her eyes, that she wasn't even looking at the live stream chat. She says it's okay if the victim sues her because she has insurance.
No, there wasn't an official report filed. You're not listening. She didn't have damages that were deep enough for an official report. She didn't want to press charges. And what was the other reason? There were 3 reasons. I don't know, but there's no report. Today, I realized that no matter how scared I am, I obviously didn't do those things I would be ashamed of doing, like driving off when a person could have been dying on the streets. Yeah, no.
VP then goes back, rewatches what happened on her earlier stream, and says that she is in shock. While people in the chat are the ones really in shock that she didn't seem to get in any kind of trouble for her actions. Well, let's talk about it. So I'm joined right now. 2 special guests. I did that. It looks like I have 4, but I really have 2 special guests. Beverly Hills attorney Mitra Hurian, as well as Kyle Schoberg, sergeant with the Citrus Heights Police Department out in California, co-instructor of the Patrol Survival Tactics Seminar and host of the Shots Fired podcast. Great to have you both here. Mitra, I'll start with you. Are you surprised that there are no charges, that she wasn't arrested? You know, seemingly if you hit somebody, you'd be arrested, right?
Well, what an interesting world we live in, right? So years ago, everybody was sort of worried about Big Brother filming them doing everything, and now we're doing it to ourselves. So, yes, caught on camera, so to speak, but it was a very interesting exchange between her and the pedestrian. Because pedestrian sort of sounded more shocked than anything. And you do truly see her reaction, the driver's reaction, where she, is saying things that are consistent with the story that she tells later about the sun being in her eyes. She really didn't see her. So the fact that she wasn't arrested, all that tells me is that there isn't probable cause. The tricky thing with DWI, sorry, driving under the influence of drugs, the tricky thing of that as compared with DUI, where we have, first of all, vehicle code in California gives you the defined limit of what is over the limit, and that's 0.08 blood alcohol content. We don't have that with drugs. There's no level, there's no reliable testing. Marijuana stays in your system much longer. It could be, you could have smoked and, up to 2 weeks, up to months. If you're a habitual smoker, it could stay in your system. It's notoriously one that stays in your system for a long time. How do you check the level? With alcohol, we have the field sobriety test, we have blood alcohol, we have breathalyzer, all of those things. While a defense attorney can really poke holes in it, there's relatively reliable, at least in terms of probable cause, and being able to, even if something is taken, hours later at the police station. Of course, Sergeant can speak to this more. We know certain things about how quickly alcohol leaves your system with some degree of certainty. We don't have that with marijuana. So
Yeah.
just to quickly answer your question, which I'm getting to, about, if I'm surprised, I'm not surprised because there isn't that reliable testing. And this happened hours after she smoked. And she seems to be somewhat cognizant, on the video. So if there's not enough there for probable cause, then I would not be surprised that the officer did not place her under arrest.
Yeah, Kyle, I'll throw it back to you. You heard Mitra talk about what some of the challenges could have been in understanding what substances were in her system or were not in her system. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so oftentimes in law enforcement, our role when we show up to a scene like that is to figure out, is the driver under the influence of either a controlled substance, drugs, marijuana, or alcohol, like she had stated. And unless that officer would have reasonable suspicion to believe that she was under the influence, he probably, in that type of circumstance, it didn't seem like maybe she was hurt that bad. Maybe they didn't take a police report, which is pretty accurate of a lot of agencies, where they're not going to take police reports on minor traffic collisions unless there is an injury or someone's being transported to the hospital. But in this case, if the officer shows up, he's not seeing any signs of her being under the influence, then exactly what Mitra just stated, I'm not surprised that the officer didn't take her to jail or even take a report for that matter. Now, if you do suspect her to potentially be under the influence of either drugs or alcohol, then it would be the officer's responsibility to run her through a series of field sobriety tests. They are different. Drugs are different than alcohol. The tests are different. So, in that case, if he were to determine if she's impaired, which that's all he would have to prove is that she's impaired and she was involved in this collision, she then could be placed under arrest, taken back to the police station. If you assume that it was drugs, they would then take her blood and she would be then booked in jail. And if there was any type of injury to this pedestrian that she struck and they determined her to be under the influence of drugs, that then would be a felony.
Hey, what does this story make clear? That injuries can happen out of nowhere when you least expect it. And that can be incredibly traumatic. It can be scary. But that is why I want to take a minute to call out our great partner and sponsor here on Sidebar, Morgan and Morgan. This is a firm you would want in your corner because they are specialists in this area. Morgan and Morgan is America's largest injury law firm. And for a reason, they win a lot. They have secured multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements. In fact, they secured a $120 million verdict in one of the first personal injury trials post-pandemic. And by the way, in that case, there was a pretrial offer of just $20,000. Yeah, Morgan and Morgan, they don't settle for lowball offers. They will fight to protect your legal rights and for what you deserve in compensation. Start your Seems strange to you, that statement. She goes, yeah, the officer came up to me, put his hand on my shoulder. I was like, you know how many hit and runs I've seen? And, I know this must be emotional for you. Does that seem odd to you?
Nah, not really. I mean, as a cop, you respond to these calls where someone hits a pedestrian. That could be very traumatic for somebody. And so, there's nothing wrong with cops showing empathy and making sure that the drivers of these cars, if, they truly suspect it was an accident, making sure that she's okay. She's probably shaken up. You can clearly see in her reaction in the video that that's an authentic reaction from her. She is shaken up. So to show empathy, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think if people are concerned about that, then the department would need to take a look at that and go, is this officer's typical behavior, his character on how he's treating people, or is he treating her differently because maybe he finds her attractive or something, but I go back to just showing empathy.
Yeah, I did think it was interesting. She's like, there's your live content for the day, guys. But look, she might have been in a nervous reaction. Amitra, I want to ask you this. So her statement was, it was really scary, describing what happened. And she said this, like you mentioned, the sun was blinding her and it had nothing to do with any drug use or looking at the chat. Not that she was distracted. She says, you can look at the stream. I was not even looking at the chat. If sun blinds you, can you still be legally responsible? She talked about how, hey, sue me. She doesn't seem to be facing charges, but is it a driver's legal responsibility to make sure that their vision is not obstructed by the sun? If substances were not at issue here and she was not distracted by the chat, let's take it there, does she face any kind of legal liability, whether on the criminal front or the civil front?
Yeah, that's something that would be handled in the civil courts. And, we see that all the time. Distracted drivers. It could be anything, even looking at a text or not paying attention, or, you could be the best of drivers, but looking in the wrong direction at the wrong time. It takes a split second, for you to hit somebody if you're not looking. That's why texting is so dangerous. And so, that's something that then everyone calls their insurance companies. In California, you're required to have insurance. So the insurance companies get involved. There is some recourse for anyone that is injured. Again, if there's no injury here, and an injury can be defined in many ways, but if there's no real injury, then the insurance claim would fall through as well. And then the pedestrian would have to decide, is it worth suing this individual, outside of the insurance system, which, with if we don't have a significant injury, 9 times out of 10, no, unless it's some sort of quick cash grab. But if that's something that would, be handled in the civil courts and not on a criminal level.
And from a legal point of view, Mitra, the fact that she didn't drive away but apparently stayed there, that would help her case, right?
That really always does, right?
Yep.
Because the hit and run really escalates everything. And it, and whether that means someone is more guilty or less guilty is, another question. But the fact that you left the scene really shows sort of a lack of taking accountability for your actions and also concern for the other person. That's not somebody we want on the roads.
Yeah, yeah, and she talked about in the video how I don't remember if it was a family member or somebody who was close to her. She claims was actually hit a victim of hit and run. Somebody did that, and
Mhm.
so she would never do that. Kyle, do you think that the videos of that incident and the videos she posted afterwards, police are looking at those at all? Does it change your perspective? I mean, you saw the video of her hitting or allegedly hitting this person. What do you think happened? I mean, she didn't see it? She was blinded by the sun. Do you think her reaction afterwards is going to affect anything in this investigation? I don't even think there is investigation, but you tell me.
Well, I look, I think the videos are pretty telling because if you actually go to her YouTube channel and you watch some of her videos, which by the way, I did do that and I will never get those minutes of my life back. But here she is, video herself on live stream with her boyfriend, and they're just doing drugs. They're talking about doing fentanyl, methamphetamine. They're driving around in a car, which is very disturbing to me that she's clearly under the influence of drugs while live streaming with her Cash App monogram on there asking for people to donate money to her, which people are donating money to her in these videos. And I hate to break it to you, but she's not going to use that money to go get a hotel room like she's claiming. She's using that money to keep up with her habit of purchasing more drugs. And so the fact that she's doing this while driving and putting all these people at risk, that to me is more concerning. And yeah, I do think that the police department should look into that, knowing that they have these videos now. They need to look into it because someone like that is an extreme danger to the public. And clearly she's got no regard. And it's kind of sad to me that people are doing that on live stream YouTube just for the views. I'm sorry, but I
Mm.
think that's sad. And I think that the police department should look further into that.
Look, we live in a day and age where people are doing anything for views or clicks. But Mitra, let me just end this with you. If she wasn't actually looking at the chat, but the live stream was going on nonetheless, can that be a distraction from a legal point of view? You know, we talk about it how there was all the issue with people on their phones, right? And but if she's not directly looking at the chat, but it's the idea of she's engaging and she's focused more on that than she is at the road, is that an argument that could be made in court?
I think that's a tough argument. You know, we're having conversations with people sitting next to us
Right.
in cars all the time. We're listening to radio, we're listening to podcasts. I mean, I think we're used to a certain level of distraction. And arguably, somebody who does this every day and has a camera on her all the time and is sharing so much of her life is able to kind of tune out that distraction. And it might not be as distracting for her as it might be for, somebody like you and I who were sitting in the car and we're not used to a
Right.
camera being on us and, thousands of people watching us.
Yeah. Well, I am, but not in the car.
Are
to say
you
the least.
stupid
But
when you're driving?
yeah. Not when I'm
When you're
driving.
driving, though,
Not when I'm
right?
driving. Mitra, Kyle, thank you both so much for coming on. Really enjoyed the discussion, and hopefully, no more accidents. She's safe. Everybody's safe. It's just a very interesting situation, to say the least. But Mitra, Kyle, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, Jesse.
And that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.
So, what do you guys think of that? Isn't that nuts? She's not being charged with anything. She hit a pedestrian while I mean, she might have been smoking earlier that day, but, and I know smoking isn't like the craziest thing in the world, but she is known to do harder things than that. So, what is going on with the YouTubers? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below because I'm blown with this one. But thank you guys so much for staying through the whole video. If you did, I really appreciate you. I will be back on tonight at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to talk Sebastian Rogers in case, or unless another case update, comes up. But I will see you guys all then. I hope you have a wonderful the rest of your day. If I don't see you tonight, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I will see you guys tonight. Bye.